to It's Your Business, a program designed to highlight our local small businesses who participate in procurement and contracting opportunities at Houston City College. I'm your host, Veronica Douglas. Today, I am pleased to welcome back Helen Collier, President of Permit Us Now. Helen is a nationally recognized permitting and compliance expert who has spent years helping entrepreneurs and organizations navigate complex regulatory systems so they can easily obtain permits, licenses, and approvals, saving them time, reducing risk, and accelerating business success. Her background includes extensive experience working with government agencies, supporting major corporations, small and minority-owned businesses, and educating entrepreneurs on the critical role compliance plays in business readiness. Helen has been recognized for her leadership, advocacy, and commitment to removing barriers that often prevent businesses from moving forward. Her work is especially relevant for businesses seeking contracting and procurement opportunities where proper permitting and compliance are not optional, they're foundational. Welcome back, Helen. It is such a pleasure to have you back on our show.
Hey, Veronica, always a pleasure to be on It's About All About Business. I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
So let's jump right in. You are the president of Permit Us Now. What problem did you see in the marketplace that made you say, this business needs to exist?
Yeah. And so we would, we would definitely hear a lot of pain and horror stories, right? General contractors who were very late with starting their projects, right? As well as could be architects or project owners that were always complaining about delays. And we know that delays cost money, right? Delays ultimately cost money, not only during construction, but when that particular entity is attempting to open as well. So we did recognize and hear the screams and the horror stories that made us jump right in.
So before permits and compliance became your world, what was your career path and how did it prepare you for this role?
Yeah. So Permanus now, is a subsidiary of Bradley technical services firm. So been in business over 20 years. So I can say that I was, definitely, driving the ship for Bradley, serving primarily government agencies, doing a lot of work for Houston Metro Transit on the light rail, different facilities, as well as at the Houston Airport system. So when you go through the Houston Airport system, you'll see a lot of projects that we've touched. In fact, when you drive on Will Clayton, you are touching one of our projects. When you're seeing one of the signages right there, Will Clayton and Lee Road, you're looking at one of our projects for a lot of the wayfinding signage, just as an example, if you will. So, but before starting my journey as an entrepreneur, I'm a mechanical engineer by training. Went to and attended Prairie View A&M University, but spent many years in corporate America, doing a lot of design work. Overseeing as an executive manager, overseeing teams that were in North America as well as parts of South America as well, doing working for some of the biggest corporations. Could have been for some of the big three that we know as General Motors, so forth and so on. And so just doing a lot of design work at that particular time. And so it's in my blood, right? Understanding the design and how important it is. You have to be able to construct things and being in compliance. So thank you for that question.
So what was the hardest lesson that you learned in the early days of, being an entrepreneur as well as, building Bradlink into Permit Us Now? Tell me what the hardest lesson you learned was along the way.
Yeah. And so, as I noted, I mean, Bradling's been on its journey for a long time. So, we're very clear on who our ideal clients are on the Bradling side. For Permit Us Now, you have to be clear on who your ideal clients are. And so there were a few times that were lessons learned where we brought on board, clients who were truly not looking to do the right thing and not wanting to listen. It's just so when you have the ideal and the right client in your business, then it allows you to be able to build, grow, and scale. And we are very clear on who those are. There are sometimes and oftentimes that we'll see situations. It could be a physically challenged veteran who served our country for many years. It could be an elderly person where the contractor has come, bought all the materials supposedly, and then did no work. So when we see those type of situations, we offer our services. And those are typically, pro bono because we're not looking to impact those particular individuals anymore. It's about doing the right thing and then helping someone else, if you will.
I love that. So
Yeah.
for the business owners that are watching now who may not fully understand permitting, what does Permit Us Now do that saves them time, money, and stress?
Yeah, yeah. And so for us, we expedite building permits, and so you can have all the pretty plans that you want to if you're getting ready to buy a new facility, if you're getting ready to do a tenant build out for a restaurant or for a retail store, and ideally, if you're within the city of Houston or any other major cities, you're going to need a permit in order to start business, because that permit will then lead to your certificate of occupancy, which allows you to be legally operating. Now, it's a different world. If you're out in a deep rural country, just do what you want to do and be safe. But the key thing is that to be operating legally and properly, you have to have a building permit. And so we'll review, clients' plans. We'll then fill out all the necessary permit applications. We'll submit that to the necessary jurisdictions. We'll track and monitor those particular plans as well, and any comments that may come through. Work with the client's architect or engineer to help address those comments, and then push them on through as quickly as possible. Leveraging our relationships and our knowledge of doing business at the jurisdictions, and we do business across the Houston Galveston area, as in surrounding areas as well as across the state of Texas. So it's not too many that we haven't touched.
And you can assist with commercial and residential permitting. Is that what I'm
Yeah,
hearing?
absolutely, absolutely. We do a boatload for commercial projects, be it some of the oil and gas companies, which would be leaning more towards manufacturing and industrial, commercial. Your multifamily mixed use, leads into commercial. Have developers that we work with in the East End that does a lot of mixed use, as well as in the Montrose, Allen Parkway area as well. Mixed use, and what I mean by mixed use development is that you may have apartments that may be on top or somewhere there, and then it'll have a restaurant, could have a gym, could have a smoothie, place, and or either the case with Montrose Collective, it has a City of Houston library, which was definitely unique in that regard. So commercial is going to take have various definitions, but we do a lot of commercial, of course, as you know, with HEB has been one of our longtime clients as well, and that falls in the commercial space.
That is awesome. I
Yeah,
love that you are able to work with these big, large corporations and also work with some of the residents here that may stumble upon some problems when they're trying to obtain permits or going through that process. I just love everything that your business is able to do
yeah,
and help with.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
amazing. So tell us a little bit about some of the common permitting mistakes, that businesses are making that you're seeing before they even they call you.
Yeah, and so it's getting started. First of all, with construction without obtaining a permit. And what do I mean by that? They may say, "Hey, I want to start doing some demolition," and true enough, you can do some light demolition before you actually have a permit or a demolition permit. But there's a point where you've actually gone too far, right? And that you're actually starting in construction. So that's number one, is getting started without having the proper permits. Number two is thinking that you know it all, right? And not taking advantage of being maybe to go ahead and call to the particular jurisdiction, ask questions, check out the website, and making sure that they're in alignment, because that helps saves a lot of time right there. And then I think for the third bullet point is making assumptions, right? Making assumptions, and you can minimize those, and or either working with a general contractor or an architect or a designer who they're making assumptions, and you trust that and then move forward.
Just real quickly before we take a break, let me know what industries, you see that tend to struggle more with permitting. Is that on the commercial side or the residential side?
I it's I mean you'll see it across the board, and I think what's the pressures that the project owners may be placing on the contractors and the architects, because budgets and what you hear a lot of times is speed to market, right? Speed to market, speed to first patient, speed to first customers, and so those pressures, depending on the team that's in place, will cause people to make decisions, and sometimes those decisions may not be wise. So I won't necessarily, point out a particular industry. It's basically what's the thought process, and are they looking at it from a strategic standpoint in order to deliver a project on time, and that's in compliance.
Thank you for that, Helen. I want to take a quick,
Yeah.
but when we come back, I want to know from you what the real cost is of ignoring permits or, just getting them wrong beyond just the fines. If you could tell us a
Hmm.
little bit about that.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely.
All right, well, we'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue our conversation with Helen Collier, President of Permit Us Now.
And as floodwaters continue to rise, thousands are left desolate.
Hundreds of homes have been destroyed by the wildfires.
Disasters have left many in need of emergency shelter.
You can help those impacted by disasters, big and small. Give now.
Welcome back, and we're going to continue our conversation with Helen, who is the president of Permit Us Now. And Helen, before we took a break, we were discussing some of the real costs of ignoring permits, or getting them wrong beyond just the fine. So elaborate on that a little bit for us.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you can get a fine if you don't pull a permit or pull the proper permits, and you'll get a red tag, and that has a certain impact in its own right. I think one of the biggest issues, aside from that, is the interruption that you cause on the job site, right? Because you might have moved materials, certain equipment that has a cost that will be sitting there. And we know the challenges nowadays with workforce development. You know that from being with the Houston City College, with workforce development and the access and availability of labor, specifically on job sites. And so now, if you don't have the proper permits and that job has been placed on hold or stopped, then that stops that subcontractors or those trade contractors from working. Now, what do? So it's a ripple effect, and there's a cost associated with that, and there's the impact and credibility that you have with a project owner. Again, it's speed to market, speed to first patient, speed to first student, whatever it may be. That is the name of the game right now, because it's all about budgets, maintaining those budgets, being a good steward, and that means being a good steward of the project in its own right. And permitting is you got to make it happen with that first.
So ignoring those permitting requirements can, cause delays, shutdowns, and lost revenue.
Correct, correct. And clearly lost revenue, right? Which impacts your ability to become profitable sooner, right? Depending on what the business is, if the schedule goes on time, right? And if, of course, if it's a government entity, then it's about being of service to the public, sooner, and solving problems versus it being delayed. And there's a lot of stories along that lines there. So yeah, it happens. It happens. It happens.
So what's one permit immediately?
Repeat that.
What is one permit myth that you wish business owners would stop believing
Mm,
immediately?
mm, yeah, thank you for that. One myth, and I can go down a long list, but one myth is that thinking that because there's a huge bond program that's been passed, right? Could be an ISD related, could be and new developments that are coming up. That increased volume will then send a message to the jurisdiction that you guys are going to be responding faster because you see the economic development that's going on around that you guys are going to respond faster to conduct the plan reviews. Not necessarily the case at
I
all
figured you might
because
say
it takes
something.
the city.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, because it takes the city time, right? It takes the city time in order to build up staff, engage staff, go through the workload that they have, because they're going to be going through multiple departments to do those reviews. Just because there's big, huge workload and volumes coming in, it is very exciting, but you have to deal with the big bureaucracy that's here and get through all of that, and which is why we're a believer always getting started early. Right? Get started early. And so for our clients, if we're a part of this volume, we're already in the ear of the jurisdictions and say, hey, here's what we have coming down the pike. Here's what it's going to be looking like. Here's so forth and so on, the aspects of that project. Why? Because we're starting to grease the skids inside to say, we got to get going, at least for our clients, right? At least because they're cognizant of what's coming down the pike, right? So that's one myth. Just because there's a huge volume does not mean that the city's going to be operating any faster, or any jurisdiction for all that might matter. Could be getting a driveway permit, could be getting access or right away, permit from the DOT side. So it's a lot of different areas to look at that. A lot of different areas, but good question. Good question.
So
Absolutely
just
good question.
submitting your paperwork does not mean you're approved. Have you heard that one before? So I submitted my paperwork, I'm approved.
That's right. That is absolutely right. Submitting your paperwork does not mean that you're approved. Not paying for the building permit. Hey, I've been approved, but you never pay for the building permit. Will still get you in trouble, right? Not. It happens. It absolutely happens, and so that's why it's important to leverage and lean on experts that live and breathe the jurisdictions. I mean, that's just the bottom line, because we stay abreast of what are the new amendments, what are the new ordinance changes that are impacting permitting, who's going out on maternity leave, who's going out on paternity leave, who's going out on pet leave, because it impacts the amount of people who's going to be reviewing, right? I know that as we also do business in Louisiana, and when it comes to Mardi Gras, you know, everybody's gone.
Yes.
Everybody's gone, right? Everybody's gone. And if the plan reviewer that we're working with just happened to have been the Mardi Gras queen from 1972, so everybody's gone.
So at what point should a business really, that's trying to grow, stop trying to manage obtaining permits and doing everything by themselves and look to someone like you, Permit Us Now, to help them with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer that, for emerging businesses that they're going to have a growth plan, right? And in that growth plan, it's going to say they're looking to grow X amount and then be able to scale. But how are you going to do that? They would have also identified resources, and they know at some juncture, what is my jumping off point? Because as I'm looking at my numbers, my pro forma, it's going to tell me, is it worth my time, right? In order to pull that permit, or to hound my architect or whomever to pull that permit? And the answer to that's going to be no. I mean, just by looking at your numbers. If you're a growing and scaling business, now if you're going to continue to be a small, mom and pop, make the appropriate decisions that fits you best, based on your knowledge and your expertise and your trust in the folks that you're working with. But I submit to you, do a growth plan, look at the numbers, how much is your time worth, and how is your time most and best utilized within your business. And I submit to you, at some juncture, you're going to say, I need to have experts on my team to pull and handle my permits. Why? Because they're part of my team and helps to scale my business. No differently than what they tell you to have. Make sure you have an attorney, make sure you have a CPA, have a banker. Why? Those are resources to help scale your business. No differently on the design side and the permitting side as well as you're growing.
So as a woman leading
Mm.
a firm in a highly technical, highly regulated space, what leadership lessons have really shaped you the most?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, for me, it is. I love what I do. I enjoy what I do, and it allows me, based because I'm in my, I want to say I'm operating in my DNA. I'm in my lane, if you will. It allows me to serve those folks that I'm meant to serve through our business, right? So I'm touching lives. So I'm not necessarily sure if it's because I'm a and trust me, there's huge assets, being a woman. But I would truly say that lean into your strengths. There's certain strengths that women have in the construction business. And feel free, everybody, you can feel free to DM me and connect with me on LinkedIn to tell me your input and show me your other side. But I believe that we pay attention to details differently. We have the nurturing and caring aspect about who's going to be using this building, this roadway, and so forth. We also know how to manage and lead teams as well, be it if it's Johnny or Bobby or whomever else is in the back of the car seat, right? So the strengths that we leverage and that we have that make us strong, in my opinion, in construction and design, and of course permitting as well. As we're at the cities, talking with the plan reviewers, the plan analysts, the fire marshals, and so forth, they are our partners in safety. They are partners in safety. So we're not coming in to
Mhm.
the hammer, 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 and get it done, and scream, because we know that that honey goes a long way, and
You
that we're
know,
here to help.
you have to be, precise with your facts. You have to be up
Yeah,
to date on all the
yeah, yeah,
regulations, the
yeah,
ability to explain complex things.
yeah,
Permitting
yeah,
is very complex and very regulated. So just mastering that is
yeah,
like your baseline.
yeah,
From there, you have to just continue learning and growing and
yeah,
explaining things to whether it's a commercial business owner or a resident. That takes a lot of skill sets. So I applaud
yeah.
you on that.
Yeah, that's huge. That's one of the reasons why we have a multidiscipline team that's a permit us now. We have folks who have their base degrees in architecture, construction management, project management, who understand design and also have construction experience, because we know you have to build it. And because of that, the understanding, we're able to talk to the cities for the because we understand the building codes, right?
Mhm.
And to be able to break it down and say, hey, here's what we have and here's what's going on. And that's a huge value for our clients, huge value for our clients. It's not a simply hey, let's, an administrative job. It's much more than that. It's a strategic job, and having an expert in that allows you to build safer, save time, money, and eliminate stress as you build that particular project.
Well, we're going to take another quick break. And when we return, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions so we can really dig deeper in our conversation.
All right, all right.
We'll be right back with Helen Callier, president of Permit Us Now.
When faced with complex challenges, there are people who come together to solve problems and transform lives. That's us. We are Rotary. We work with community partners to build green spaces for all to connect with nature and each other. We support local youth through mentorship and literacy programs. We're committed to causes that improve lives everywhere. Find your cause and take action with us.
Welcome back. We are going to wrap up our conversation with Helen, who's the president of Permit Us Now. And Helen, before we took a break, I ended with telling you that we were going to do some rapid fire questions. So I'm
Mm.
going to ask you a question and we'll take it from there. So the first one is, give us one word to describe entrepreneurship.
Fun.
I figured you'd say like something like relentless. Fun. I like that. That's really there's a lot of positive beside you, behind you saying fun. You really enjoy what you're doing. So
Yeah, yeah,
I like
yeah.
that.
I
I like
really, yeah, yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The next one is, what is the biggest misconception about permits?
Biggest misconception. I could do it myself.
I figured you'd say something along the lines of I could do it myself, I'll handle it later. All
Right.
right, next one. You're doing really good, Helen. You're
All right.
surprising me with your answers. I love it. All right, the next one is give me the best advice for first-time business owners. What's your best advice?
Best advice, first-time business owners, know that you can and know that it's possible. I always tell folks that if it doesn't work on paper, it's going to be challenging to work in the real world. So make sure you put a growth plan in place. And I know this is more than one word, but take advantage of all the free resources that are out there. And Houston City College is one of those with the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, with the business plan competition, with the Sales Academy. I mean, there's on and on and on and on that are free, no cost, resources, along with, of course, SBA score, and I could go on and on. Take advantage of those because they are there to help you win and be successful. And that's one of the things that's done extremely well in Houston. So take advantage of it.
I love the HCC plug. And you're right, there's so many things going on today. You're over at the Greater Houston Business Procurement Forum, that breakfast. So there's a lot of free
Right.
resources here for small and minority-owned businesses in the area.
Yeah.
I want to just wrap up our conversation for today. I appreciate you
Mm.
being here. But before we end, I want to know from you, what is one thing that our viewers should take away from the conversation today? Or if it's more than one, what would you like the viewers to walk away with today from our conversation?
Yeah, I mean, always build safe, right? And always pull the proper permits. That's important. And you say, why is that? Well, if you get ready to sell that particular building and you didn't pull the permits, then you're going to have a hold, right? And or either if you get ready to do an expansion, an addition, or changes, you're going to have a hold. And what does that do? That's cost and time. And so pulling the proper permits is the right thing to do. So always excited to talk to your audience. It's huge. Thank you, Lucky Stars, that we're in Texas. They can always reach me on LinkedIn and of course permitusnow.com. We're here to help. It's we're grateful for what we do. We love what we do. So you can have all the pretty plans, but if you don't have a proper permits, then you're not legally able to get started. So get a permit.
Well, thank you, Helen, for coming back on. It's a pleasure
Yeah.
always seeing you in
Yeah.
person and interviewing you. I appreciate everything that you do. You bring in such a value to our community, the business owners and the residents. So thank you for coming on and allowing me to interview you. And for all of our viewers watching today, reach out to Helen. She is ready to assist you. Hit her on LinkedIn. Like I said, she posts stories on LinkedIn. She is very near to us at Houston City College, and she is always willing to help you. Thank you again for tuning in for It's Your Business. I'm your host, Veronica Douglas, and we will see you next time.